Shabbat Shalom. I wanted to continue speaking about tshuva, which we started to speak about last time. Usually translated as repentance, and I was remarking that that's a very cold and hard translation. Even the sound of the word in Hebrew sounds softer than that. Tshuva has kind of a soothing quality to it. And in fact, the reality of tshuva, I think, is in the direction of calm, confident realization of one's inner self. Now, Rabbi Abraham Isaac Kook, Rav Kook, usually referred to, was the first chief rabbi of the settlement in Palestine before there was a state of Israel. And he was a great, articulate, modern mystic. And I wanted to read you just a little something that he says about tshuva. He says, "When one forgets the essence of one's own soul, when one distracts oneself from attending to the substantive content of their own inner life, everything becomes confused and uncertain. The primary role of tshuva is for the person to return to themselves, to the root of their soul. It's only through the great truth of returning to oneself that the person and the people, the world and all the worlds, the whole of existence, will return to their Creator to be illuminated by the light of life." It's a wonderful, short, and yet very complete statement about the expanded concept of tshuva, something that really we need to accomplish for ourselves and within ourselves. But when we accomplish this kind of turning within, and when we know our own minds and our own hearts in their final reality, it changes the way we look at the world, it changes the way we are in the world, and Rav Kook is saying that it actually changes the world. Now this is a wonderful concept. How you look at the world changes the world. Now, this may not make a lot of sense to people who are very objectively oriented, but we know from quantum physics, the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, which talks about whether light is a wave or a particle. It's not really answerable whether light is a wave or a particle because it depends on how you look at it. So the object actually changes according to the way one looks at it in quantum physics. I think that the same thing applies certainly to people and relationships, if not to trees and mountains and more objective reality. The way we look at relationships changes the nature of the relationship. The way we look at the possibilities for change in ourselves and others affects our ability and the ability of others to change. Now, I understand that one should be maybe a little skeptical about a person changing. Change generally comes very, very slowly, and after great efforts, after many, many years sometimes of effort. I have to give you a little true confession here that this week I was able to let go of something with someone of long standing, more than 25 years standing. It felt so good to do that, but it took me all this time to be able to do that. So I'm not speaking from a position of superiority here at all. I'm one of the world's leading experts in hanging on to hurts and resentments. But if one has a good will to change, then change eventually can come. And sometimes it comes all of a sudden. There's a kind of grace from God sometimes that just takes us unaware. And I recently experienced something like that, a change of mind and heart that overtook me unexpectedly. And the same thing can happen to you. Something like a volcano that builds up from the bottom of the sea, and it might take many years for that build-up to complete itself. And then suddenly, when the volcano breaks the surface, it's quite a dramatic change, because now we might not have been aware of it before, but here it is on the surface of the ocean. We were unaware of the build-up. So this is how there can be periods of grace in our lives where change comes very rapidly. But generally, it's long years of effort in order to affect drastic change, fundamental change in our lives. So, what is the key to change? Rav Kook is saying, and I'm saying also, it's this process of going within, of knowing the reality of your mind and the reality of your heart. The reality of our mind and our heart is that we are forgiving, we are compassionate, we are loving. Certainly other things get in the way, and one can't be compassionate for everyone and under all circumstances. It's impossible. Some people are just not to be dealt with that way. The Islamic State in Iraq is an example of that. We should not be too compassionate with them because they are certainly a very, very harsh force in the world right now. They need to be dealt with harshly. But the vast majority of the time, people respond positively to being loved, to being shown compassion, to being not judged. And this is, I think, an essential component of doing teshuvah. If we can be compassionate with others, then we can expect God and life to be compassionate to us. If we approach others with the heart, with love first, we can expect others and God also to approach us in the same way. So I want to wish you a Shabbat Shalom once again. I look forward to celebrating Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur with you, and maybe this can be the year in which we decide that we're going to be more loving, more compassionate, less judgmental of one another. Shabbat Shalom.